Welcome to AFL180, brought to you by Guru.com.au. It's been a decent week in football. Unfortunately, the betting guru is a moron that doesn't know how to start the podcast without laughing his head off every single time, so I'm going to take over this week, I think. Big week in football. We had Geelong coming from behind in the second half to beat Port Adelaide. We had Carlton going down, ruining Jono's week against Sydney by half a point, which we'll talk about as well as Dustin Martin's contract blowout and a few other topics. So let's get into it, boys. This is Vava, betting guru. How you doing?
I'm speechless.
Yeah, he is without speech. Jono?
I'm good.
Crapping yourself this week?
A little nervous, a little anxious. It's been a while since we beat the Cats.
Do you believe in the curse?
I don't know if it's a curse. I think it's just got to the point where it's just mental now. If Geelong come at the Hawks at all, any time during the second half, the Hawks just seem to roll over and play dead.
So they're going to crap themselves in the second half?
I hope not.
That's going to go well with my bet.
Well, Chappie's out. He's going to be sorely missed. He's one of the original players he's supposed to be the one that started the whole thing.
He did. He was the one that said it.
Yeah.
He said we will never lose to the Hawks again.
Yeah. Well, more on that later. I think maybe we should start with last week's matches. Two ripping ones.
Yeah, so it's the semi-finals. We had Geelong and Port Adelaide. What a game that turned out to be.
Great game.
Great betting game.
Really, aside from the Hawks having to play the Cats, what a fairy tale if Port had won that. And they were looking good for a while.
Yeah.
They were looking very good, but couldn't get the job done in the end.
And they paid out the biggest payout of the year, I think, with my Port halftime Geelong full-time bet. So well done, Port, on that one.
That was a great bet.
But yeah, I thought they seemed to look very good. Geelong really ran over the top of them in the end, though, which was probably a little concerning for Hinkley. But I mean, they really killed them. And of course, Westhoff pulled the goal out of
They won by 16 points in the end. So it's not like it's a.
But it was always going to happen. They're always going to come at the Port in the second half.
I actually thought it would happen sooner and they'd run away with it, and my 40 plus would come off.
I thought Port stuck at it the whole time.
Yeah.
Well,
what a goal from
pulled a goal out of his ass.
Unbelievable for a tall, lanky guy.
But he's always been skillful. He just seemed so soft before. But I guess Hinkley's toughened him up a little.
So can Port improve again next year?
The thing, it was such a young team, and they've got a natural evolution arc there, because Wingard you think is only going to get better, but he might start getting tagged. Boak is still in his prime. You got Ollie Wines coming in, and it's a really young team, and I think there's a lot of potential there.
It seems to be that there's only room to go up in terms of the improvement of the players.
Yeah, you can't really see too many players in that team dropping off. Maybe Corns,
but it's a question of motivation, as always. They could get into that kind of second year and go, all right, it's not as easy as we all thought it was going to be.
Hinkley said during the week that he thinks that they're only about 70 to 80% as fit as they could be. Yeah, but and you think about how many teams they overran in the second half.
I think that was a bit of motivational talk, John.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem is that I think this year they snuck under the radar a bit. The teams are going to be preparing for them next year. I mean, they always prepare for them, but this year they were the hunter. I think they're going to become the hunter. People will want to knock them off their perch.
There's always several players that are going to think that they're actually good.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden they're going to go, you know what, I'm not just a guy trying to make my spot. Hey, I'm one of the guys that made it to the semi-finals in our first kind of year together. You know, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, but a little bit of arrogance
and
confidence.
Stop training as well, and all this stuff creeps in.
But they've still got these other Pittard and Stevenson and these sort of guys that are just waiting in the wings as well, just to fill spots in the senior team. Like there's a lot of upside for them.
Absolutely. I think they've outperformed all predictions this year. Just incredible.
Yeah.
I had them coming last this year. I just didn't think they had anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Lower than Melbourne?
Well, yeah.
That's
I'm an old sport. So.
Wow. Okay.
They
managed to, as we said, they managed to get the best player of the draft in 2 consecutive drafts to pick 7, which takes some doing.
But Geelong did do well to come out with and win that game.
Pick 7 has been good for a lot of clubs.
Selwood was from
Joel Selwood was pick 7.
And who was picked before him? Mitchell Thorpe.
Mitch Thorpe. Yeah.
No. I mean, being a St Kilda supporter, don't get me wrong.
In number 6.
Yeah, number 6. No, I'm saying being a St Kilda supporter, I really shouldn't give other people crap about this, but Mitch Thorpe above Joel Selwood. All right.
So I was saying that Geelong did pretty well to actually come out of. How much was the deficit? It looked like
23.
a lot, but it wasn't actually that much because
at halftime.
Because Geelong didn't even have 20 points at halftime or something, did they? It was something like that.
They were running them off their feet. Things they got overrun, but Geelong something is not right.
But the thing is, if Geelong's going to win the premiership this year, it's going to be in 3 struggling matches. It's going to be like Leighton Hewitt pulling it out there in the last 5th set.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to blow teams away.
Hawkins straightened them up though. I thought they played a little bit better with him, and he gave him some structure. Like they couldn't do anything against Freo when they attacked.
And he kicked the first goal of that second half. And get them going.
Do you think Chappie should have been suspended?
He had to be suspended.
Look, I don't like it, but based on other suspensions this year and what happened to Buddy the week before, he had to.
Yeah.
He had to. He jumped a foot off the ground to shoulder
he got him
in
in the head. Yeah, he got him in the head.
All right. On Saturday we had Sydney versus Carlton. The game wasn't quite living up to expectations. At the start, everybody just went down all of a sudden. And no one could even stay up.
A gallant effort by Sydney, because it looked like early they were gone. They were gone, and that Carlton would just overrun them. But credit to them and credit to McVeigh.
Yeah, amazing match.
What a second quarter.
What a second quarter.
Yeah, but you got to have somebody next to him.
The thing, he
20
got
possessions.
He got 20 possessions. 13 of them were uncontested. At some point, you would have thought alarm bells, because he was getting him in the forward line, he was getting him in the midfield, he was getting him in the back line, he was getting 1-2s. He'd get the ball out of the midfield, handball it to someone, and then run forward to receive it again in the forward line.
It's crazy.
It was just unbelievable, and they didn't.
Carlton didn't come back in the second half, but it was too little.
Yeah.
Too
Meanwhile,
late.
they ruined both of our bets because I went Sydney 40+, which was looking great at half time, and they just put the
Sydney just put the cue in the rack. They just no more injuries. We're not going to go hard. We're not going to lose this. And unfortunately, Carlton got one too many behinds.
Yeah, I was watching. I was watching with the Guru, and I told them that you understand. They're going to get 2 behinds just to drive Jono nuts.
Yeah, you said that before it happened.
Yeah, I was expecting a more vocal SMS from you, mate. Very disappointing.
Did you not see the SMS that came later?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so
the Guru told me to.
Everybody else had turned off their TVs 10 minutes earlier because the game was done, and we were watching to the last second because it was 1 point deciding everything.
I don't think it's podcast safe to broadcast what Jono wrote to the Guru, but there were 6 consecutive words starting with F.
So let's just explain it. So Jono bet on Sydney minus 24.5 points, and I had Sydney head-to-head. So mine was safe, but Sydney was well ahead of the 24. They were over 40.
Yeah, they were 54 points up.
And it was 26 points with a couple of minutes to go. Carlton 2 shots, 2 behinds to make it 24.
How good is the line on that game though? They got it almost spot on. I mean, they pretty much got it spot on.
Yeah, and they did the same for the Geelong. Well, it was pretty close for Geelong Port. It was about 19, 20 points for Geelong Port. So, they've done.
But it's not it's the punters. The line changes as it goes.
But I'm saying how well. Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's people's expectations.
So what are the well? First of all,
let's have a look at the results. So, the ladder as it stands. This is the Betting Guru Best Tipper competition. I'm still first with $1,293.40. Jono has $1,246.22, and Vov's got $1,167.70.
How much?
11.67.
Yeah,
I'm
so
125.
Vova is only $125 behind me in first. So he's really caught up, and that is all on the back of 1 out of 2 tips. So you had Port Geelong half-time, full-time at $7.20.
I think this is, at least I'm going to get the biggest payout of the year.
So $72.
Single game payout of the year.
Yeah, mind you, I'm disappointed about the Sydney game. I think if the Sydney game had come through, I would have been within probably $90, which.
I won both my bets, but they were all very low odds. So I got $25.50, and Jono lost both of his bets. The last one by half a point there.
The amazing thing is that Jono would have. I mean, he would have only lost by like $4 for the week if
Yeah.
without that behind. We're going to look back at that behind, and that was the game that pretty much decided the season potentially.
And my last 6 weeks have pretty much decided the season.
True.
No. Even Volvo can still make it because he's only 125 behind. Needs a couple of big ones to like that, and he can win. Well, Jono's $47 behind, so you're not too far off at all.
All right, so moving on. There's been some
Moving
interesting things happening this week. First of all, the Dustin Martin contract. I don't know if it's a fiasco, but he's decided to explore his options.
Who leaves a club that makes the finals for the first time in 13 years? Or whatever?
And also, I'll throw this in the mix. I watched the Richmond-Carlton grand final, and when they came out and the whole crowd was singing the Yellow and Black song, that was incredible. Like, who would want to leave that?
I think, in all honesty, I think it's manager driven. I don't think it's Dustin Martin driven. I mean, from reports suggest there's $500,000 on the table a year. He's 22. Now, how many 22-year-olds?
Yeah, but
turn their nose up.
Yeah, but
I don't mind that. You have to chase the money while you can. You're going to break your leg at 23, and then you're gone, and then you'll be wondering for the rest of your life how much you could have made.
Richmond have supported him through his issues with his head, right? He's got a great relationship with Mark Williams, who's really helped keep a level head on him this year. He could be a 10-year player at Richmond. Alternatively, he goes to another club where he doesn't get that support. In 2 years' time, for an extra $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 a year, he's out and never plays AFL again.
Yeah, but he's got.
What about Jara? He got a lot of support from Melbourne, QCs, everything.
Nothing.
And he's gone.
He's got. I'm assuming Dustin Martin probably thinks he can handle it. Now, whether he can or not, that's up to that's up to him. But
I don't know. I think it's management.
I will say this: you're
saying it's a greedy manager who wants their cut of the pie.
$500,000, you can get more.
Yeah, but if he can get more, John, it's his job to get the best deal for his client.
Why would you announce that you've cut ties with the club?
Negotiating tactic. No, he hasn't. All he said is, "I'm exploring other offers." They do it in the NBA all the time. I'm exploring other offers. Give me more money.
What's going to happen though is 3 of the clubs that they said, that were reported to be interested, aren't interested.
Yeah, very.
So he could end up going back to Richmond with his tail between his legs for $150,000 a year less.
No, mate.
Or take your chances in the pre-season draft.
He will get paid. If he goes in the pre-season draft and nobody has to give up anything, he's going to get his $500,000 regardless. I honestly think, unless I was playing for the Saints and I really loved it, show me the money. I know I'm a disloyal bastard, but show me the money. And the thing is, John was saying before that, is he really worth $500,000? I don't think he's worth $500,000, but somebody's going to give it to him.
No, Richmond have offered him $500,000. That's what I'm saying. Is he worth more than that?
He wants $600,000.
$700,000 a year. Is he worth that much?
How do you think this plays out?
I think he ends up staying at Richmond on a reduced offer.
I reckon he goes to GWS on a pre-season draft and gets booed and hassled by every Tiger fan for the rest of his life.
Imagine he goes to GWS, no one knows him, no one's watching him.
GWS are going to have salary cap problems. If they're going to pay $600,000 for him, $2 million for Buddy, Jeremy Cameron's going to need a bigger contract.
They're going to front load everything. I'm telling you. Well, I agree. I don't disagree. Somebody will have to go, and they'll have to squeeze players out. But I reckon Franklin's contract might be 2.5 next year, and then $1 million every year after that.
Speaking of GWS, Taylor Adams has apparently said not interested in the Hawks.
His manager on SEN said the other day that
what's wrong with this guy?
Doesn't like the colours.
I'll tell you what's wrong with him. I don't think he likes the competition for the spots, maybe. And he sees a bit of an opportunity in Collingwood to just get his name up in lights and play every single week. I reckon I honestly reckon he had a meeting with Hawthorn and they told him, listen, you have to work your way into the team. He had a meeting with Buckley and Buckley said, we just got rid of this guy, this guy. You're going to be playing every game.
He's going to be competing with guys like Savage, who can't get a game in there. Who's had numerous games where he's kicked more than one goal. He's had 30 possession plus games. He's.
Some people don't want that. Well, John, there's not much you can do about it.
Wants to be a big deal in a small club.
Yeah. I think that they're going to have some interesting trades going on this year because they can't possibly go in with Boyd and Cameron and Buddy and Patton. Right? That's just impossible. And as much as Cameron came out and said, I'll play in the back line if you get Buddy, no. You can get stuff. You're a better player than Buddy already. Right? I reckon...
If I was GWS, I'd be throwing everything at Roughhead.
I'd trade Patton.
Yeah.
Bugger.
To St Kilda.
Of course you would. Look, if GWS really want Buddy, just straight swap Buddy for Patton.
I tell you what, it's not a bad deal, but they don't have to give you anything. That's a problem. I think that if they could trade Patton to the Bulldogs tomorrow for pick 4, the Bulldogs will do it tomorrow. In my opinion. Thank
you very much for your opinion.
The only club that doesn't need a key forward is Melbourne. Way too many forwards already.
Who have we got?
Hogan. Dude, that kid's been tearing up the VFL. Plus Mitch Clark. Plus Dawes. This is the only part of the team that's actually decent.
But none of them can get on the park.
They need a midfield. So can they use Martin? They've already said they don't want him.
They've already said Paul Roos of all coaches, I think, would be good for him. He said he doesn't want him.
Yeah. He's going to have a lot of problems to deal with. He doesn't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I really think they could get...
There's enough cultural issues in Melbourne.
Exactly. Doesn't want to import cultural
issues.
They could seriously trade pick 2 for a good player. I reckon it's not a bad strategy. He loves these established players' rules. They could trade pick 2 for get a gun midfielder out of it, and just go in. I reckon.
Yeah.
Probably needs about 5.
Make a start. The thing is, all of a sudden, players that didn't look so good will look a little bit better under rules.
Yeah,
that's the problem. You don't exactly know what you've got because they
make each of them the best player they could be.
Or they could all be Callum Hawkins. You never know.
And some other trade talk. Stuart Cramery off to the Bulldogs.
Good deal for both parties.
Yeah.
Del Santo is getting traded.
Del Santo, along with, I think, just about anybody that's over the age of about 23 is on the trade table at St Kilda.
Yep. Long may it continue. We're the new Melbourne. All right, All-Australian team. Some initial thoughts, boys.
I hate it. Look, there's some good ins, but...
I mean, they're all in...
there's some good ins. Like, I'm really happy that Wingard got put in, but I'm not happy about Travis Cloak. I don't think he's had an All-Australian year.
You don't like Dangerfield?
Dangerfield didn't play enough for you. He played well, but I don't think he had the standout year that he had last year. Andrew Mackie, I'm not a big fan of him being in the team. He hasn't really been a standout off the back line.
Couldn't even make it to the Geelong team one grand final.
I'll tell you what I don't like about this one. I finally remembered who the player that I thought we should get in. I thought Melcheski should have gone into this team. I don't like Sam Mitchell out of half-back. He's either midfield or shouldn't be there. I agree with you completely about
That's where he played his season.
Yeah, okay, granted, but then he shouldn't have been in there. I don't like Dangerfield in half-forward line either, or Travis Cloak.
More possessions and more effective possessions than Melcheski.
Prepare for a shocker. I hate Dane Swan on this team. He can average as many possessions as he wants, right? Well, seriously, the day that he runs anywhere backward of the centre line.
The last 8 40 possession games for Collingwood have all been Dane Swan.
Oh, he can get the ball. Nobody's doubting him.
He did it like 2 weeks later.
Yeah. I'm not doubting that he can get the ball, right? All I'm saying is that you got to have some ability to stop somebody else.
I don't like Goldstein being out of this team. I thought he was the best ruckman this year. Even if he wasn't, I think he should be on the interchange bench. If they've gone for
who would you take off the interchange bench?
Andrew Mackie.
So you'd have
Joe Watson.
You'd have Roughhead, Cloak, Cameron.
No,
he had time off as well.
I don't like Joe Watson in this team either.
He had a few weeks off as well.
What about Jakey Carlisle? Early in the season, you, Vova,
I maintain the skipper
and Yuri tried to convince me that he was the best defender in the league.
I stand by my prediction. Yes. I just think, unfortunately, the drug saga got to him.
Better than Harry Taylor.
Better than Harry Taylor and Scott Thompson, apparently.
I got that one wrong. I agree. Right? This year he was not as good as them, but he will bounce back. He had a gun season. Right? And honestly, I think if that drug thing doesn't happen and they don't play like a bunch of morons after about round 15, he carries it on.
Are you happy with Joe Watson in the team?
No. he got in on reputation this year. He missed 3 or 4 games, which is fine. You can miss games. But he had 3 or 4 substandard games.
I can tell you North Melbourne fans won't be happy with this team. No Lindsay Thomas, no Goldstein.
Come on, you can't possibly...
I would have thought Michael Barlow...
They were one of the highest scoring teams in the
I would have thought Michael Barlow had a better season than Joe Watson.
I think,
I agree with that.
I think Walters had a better season than Dangerfield. It's just... I don't like this whole thing of picking midfielders. Fine, I'll take your point about Mitchell, but I don't like this whole thing of picking midfielders on the half-forward flank. Right? It's just... I don't know.
Yeah, well, something that is interesting, though, which sort of...
So GWS and Gold Coast got a person in there. Melbourne and North Melbourne didn't.
Yeah, but come on. You're not going to take out Edwards.
No, you can't.
Something that is interesting, though, Hawthorn finished top of the ladder, get 2 players in the All-Australian team, which says something about the way they've played this year. They've been very team-oriented. They haven't relied on a certain few players week in, week out to get them over the line. You know, it's been Birchall one week, it's been Hodge another week.
Smacked Sydney without Rioldi or Franklin, which is impressive.
All right, so looking forward to the preliminary finals. There's only 2 weeks left. There's only 3 games left. And I've got to say, the Friday night game, I would have loved to have seen that be the grand final.
Yeah, agreed.
Hawthorn versus Geelong, that's such a good game.
So have we decided who is betting first on this game? I think because Jono's got a vested interest, Jono should get first dibs in this game.
Okay.
You can feel the air deflating out Jono. So I'm going to go first because my bet, neither of you are going to duplicate.
Okay.
First of all, I think Hawthorn are carrying a very big weakness with Brad Hill on the wing. Jono knows how much I love Brad Hill.
Seriously, bag him all you want. Every time you do, he comes out and gets 10 possessions and kicks 2 goals in a quarter.
I will continue to do this. Some big ins this week, obviously Cyril and Franklin are in.
Not bad.
Decent to ins there.
Talk of Cyril playing sub.
That's not a bad strategy.
Yeah, agreed. And for the Cats, you got Murdoch and Caddy coming in with Chappie out and Taylor Hunt on middle, which is surprising to me as well. So I'm going to leave the other 2 boys to talk mostly about it. I'm going to take Geelong half-time, Hawthorn full-time, break the Kenner curse. Jono will be happy.
Wow.
Ooh.
And he'll have a heart attack during the match. Fingers crossed. I'm kidding, mate.
The opposite strategy.
Okay. Well...
What is that paying? We'll find out shortly what that's paying.
Sure, we'll just turn to our odds person.
Well, Betting Guru's got us all up on his website.
Yeah, of course.
Jono.
I think it's time for the Hawks to break the curse. If they don't do it now, they never will. With Chapman and Enright, is it Enright?
Yep.
For the Cats, and we've pretty much got our strongest team of the year playing. If we can't beat them now, we don't deserve the flag, and we're out. So I'm going to take Hawthorn 1-39. I don't think we'll smash them, but my gut feel is they'll win. But I'm going to be nervous as all hell tomorrow night.
Just to add, half-time, full-time that Vova has chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Geelong half-time, Hawthorn full-time is $7.20.
Which
is quite interesting.
Number.
It was very interesting.
I don't think that's high enough.
Because Hawthorn Geelong, the other way around, which is what kept happening,
it's
is $10.
It's
So $7.20, very similar to that range where you won last week.
Yeah.
All right, and
I sense a safe bet coming on.
Yeah, I sense a very safe.
It'll definitely be safe.
I'm
the only question is which way.
I'm going to take a guess that it's going to be a Hawthorn with the money back sports bet special. Am I right?
I think you know.
We've been doing this for too long.
Mind you, I think I bet exactly the same way during the season and lost. So I've learned nothing, and I'm going to persist because my heart, I want Geelong to win. I'm sorry, Jono. I love Geelong beating Hawthorn over and over again.
F you both.
I think it's fantastic for the game.
I agree. And it keeps things interesting, and I'll also say this. Geelong is approaching a territory where they're so good you want them to continue winning. They've gone above tall poppy syndrome into their fun-to-watch syndrome. That's awesome for me.
You wouldn't prefer to see someone else win?
No, I've only had that once before, which is the Brisbane thing, where I really wanted Brisbane to go 4 in a row. And normally I hate this. But there's just something about this team. They play so beautifully. I prefer Geelong to win. Sorry, John.
Yeah, so my heart says Geelong, but I think Hawthorn will break it.
Agreed.
And without Chappie there, it's a bit hard. They've got a couple of young kids coming in. I think they'll get swamped.
So if Hawthorn wins by 40, John will be mostly happy and a little sad. And if Geelong is up by a point and win by 40, I'll be delighted.
If the Hawks win tomorrow night and win the grand final, I don't give a rat's about this betting guru competition. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, listeners. I'll edit that bit out before we.
He doesn't mean what he says.
Yeah,
he doesn't mean it. He doesn't know what he's doing. All right. Second game. I haven't got it here, but Sydney
against Freo.
And Freo, two interstate clubs. After the Victorian teams dominated so much, two interstate clubs.
Interesting point about the Victorian teams. VFL Grand Final on Sunday. Hawthorn, or Box Hill, I should say, playing Geelong. So not only are they the two strongest Victorian clubs in AFL, they got the two strongest sides in the VFL as well.
Screw you both teams. Screw you both. Geelong have won this competition for like 3 years in a row. They've been competitive, there for unbelievable. Seriously.
Casey's also been very strong. It doesn't help at all.
Very, very good. All right, so Freo wins. They're getting their All-Australian back pocket Michael Johnson in.
Big mummy.
Yeah, at
the in his 100th game.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there is too. And Sydney get,
Is that
I think, a
his
big
100th game? Wow.
Well, he's been in and out a lot.
Yeah.
Lots of injuries. And Sydney get I think it's a big in. Ben McGlynn. He's a very good player for them.
Yeah.
And they've been missing a bit of forward pocket presence.
But losing Tom Mitchell is a bit of a loss, I think.
And Kurt Tippett.
Look, I see, yes, but I can't remember who I said this to last week. I actually said that losing Tippett was a good thing for Sydney because it gave them some leg speed. Because Carlton went in very small; they only went in with one ruckman against the against Sydney, and Sydney went in very tall again, like they did against the Hawks. And early on, Carlton were there, but once Tippett went off and Jeddah came on, Sydney were a completely different team.
Well, Jeddah is just such a beautiful player. My God, that guy can play.
How good does he look when he moves across the ground?
Seriously, he's brilliant. I hope he's fit next year. He could seriously destroy the competition at some point. Anyway.
I like Sydney better without Tippett and with McGlynn and Rowan with a bit of leg speed coming into the team on a big...
Rowan's not
quite right. Well, don't give your opponent, the guru, any tips while he's making his bet.
Too much information.
Yeah, I'll make my bet first so I can get it out of the way. I'm going Sydney 1-39.
Can I bet on Rowan being the sub?
So you think Freo will choke?
I hope they choke. Because as much as I love Ross, I don't want to see Freo have a chance of the flag with Ross there. But I don't even think that Freo will choke.
So
I think
you
they'll win.
prefer Geelong to win over Fremantle?
Yes. But also...
What is wrong with you?
Also,
this is the team that beat the Saints.
I need to...
In a grand final.
But then he'll be able to say forever that the Saints lost to a once-in-a-generation team.
Exactly. And we did lose to a one-generation team. But also I need the odds. And Sydney at 1-39 will probably give me about $4. Together with my 720 odd, I'm going to make 120 or 110 next week. The Guru is going to make about $20. I'll be right back in it, and I'll clean it up on the grand final. Geelong, Sydney style. I'll go Geelong, I'd say 80 plus. And that would be the year. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, it's about $4 for 139.
Guru, your bet.
I'm first, am I?
You are.
Hey.
Well, what I'll be doing is taking a head-to-head bet.
Oh, really? Fremantle head-to-head.
I'm
the money
shocked.
back special from Sportsbet.
I'm shocked.
Do we need to even hear what you're going to say?
Mind you, we give him crap, but he's ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to take Fremantle, unfortunately.
Of course you are.
Although I think the value bet is Sydney because $3.60 is too much. They're such a quality team. I think they'll bounce back to an extent from their last win.
Bounce back from their last win.
That's right. Now,
Freo drew with
I should say what
Sydney earlier in the year.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It makes no difference.
It could be interesting right in the last seconds. But anyway, so this is the 18-point promo on Sportsbet. So if you bet head-to-head, it's under 18, you get your money back, up to $100. Jono, what are you going to do?
This is going to be controversial because I need to give myself a chance here. I'm taking Fremantle 1-39, and I'm putting it into a multi with my first bet.
No, you can't do that.
Yes, I can.
We've already talked about this.
We've never talked about this.
We've talked about this several
We've
times.
never talked about this.
You cannot have multis.
Ooh, I like arguments
Why
on
not?
the podcast.
Because we've said it several.
We haven't. You said we could put $10 on each game. You didn't say how.
All right, this will be sorted out shortly,
Right.
fellow
So
listeners.
that gives me odds of $4.40 with $20 on it. That's 88.
Can you at least leave your scumbag stuff until the last game called the grand final?
You can't do a multi on the grand final. There's one game full.
Yeah, I'm concerned that the betting guru doesn't understand the concept of a multi involving multiple events.
Yeah.
You can do lots of things. I'll let you do anything. Like, it'll be like, let's say, Hawthorn Fremantle. You can go Hawthorn head-to-head at Sportsbet, coupled with another bet on first goal kicker in...
Wait,
Centre.
are we going multiple bets for the grand final?
No. You shouldn't be able to do any of this.
All
Why
right.
not?
Jono,
Can you make a quick decision?
I will say this.
This is my decision. If I lose one, I lose both. You should be happy with that.
John, if you're cheating now, what will you be
How am I
doing by the
cheating?
time the grand final rolls around?
How am I cheating?
Your win will be tainted if you take this, only because the betting guru will never forget this. Having said that, if this comes off, you won't be the betting guru any longer.
Yeah, also all bets are off if you do this. And
What do you mean all bets are off?
Well, we also said that whoever wins this competition
Yeah.
gets to be called the betting guru from
So
now on.
does making this call and it coming off, does that make me less of a betting guru than you?
Absolutely.
How?
Because you cheated.
Because I won more than you did.
All right, guys.
How does that make you? How does that not make me the betting guru?
This will be next week. Stay tuned for next week,
Well-
where you'll find out the results of whether Jono was allowed to take his multi in the second last round of the season.
Now we can't sign off just yet because the Brownlow medal's on Monday night. We haven't
that's right.
spoken about this. Now we're all going to also, and this is going to contribute to our betting guru winnings.
No, we said no.
When did we say no?
He said no. He said no.
Why do you keep changing the rules during the
What
podcast?
is this? What's the point of putting a bet on?
He
If it's
said,
not going to count.
he said,
This
he
guy's
said,
so worried about his lead. Now that he's got it, he is so
Why
worried
did we
about
put any
it.
multis on before I was winning? When you were winning, you weren't
There was no
proposing
need
any
to.
of
There was
these
no need
ideas.
to. I didn't have to come back. Now I need to come back.
Listen, the studio is rented. It has to be given back pretty soon. We need to move right along.
I think we can sort this out. First of all, just some good bet value for our listeners. Jono?
On the Brownlow,
Yeah.
I think Jared Roughhead to finish in the top 5, paying $5.
I don't disagree with that. It's a good bet. And
I
do you have some stats to back this up?
I had a
Jono?
look at some stats earlier today, and there's 13 games that he could possibly poll in. He's had numerous 20-plus possession games where he's kicked 3 or more goals.
Do you think he got enough recognition early in the season to pick up votes for those games?
This is the thing. Like I think the first game I think he can poll in is round 4. Following that, I don't think he polls again till about round 7. His middle of the season is unbelievable, and then his back end of the year isn't too bad.
I like Pendlebury at $9 to win the whole
You know
thing.
who I like is that Gary Ablett.
$1.68. You're getting strong odds there. It's a betting
Seriously.
group.
He's a shoo-in. Sportsbet already paid out on him 3 weeks ago.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
They
He
paid out
didn't have a
everyone
very-
that bet on Ablett. It
he
wasn't 3
didn't-
weeks ago. It was long.
He didn't have a very good end to the season.
Yeah.
You reckon he did nothing?
You reckon they're
first?
sweating?
Seriously, but that's not a very betting guru bet. I would have thought you'd go Gary Ablett top 5 at $1.05. That's more your betting guru style bet.
How do it's a
But
pretty
look at Ruffy. Round 4, which was the first game I think he'll poll in, he had 21 possessions, 8 marks, 4 goals.
That's the thing. He keeps kicking goals along with getting the possessions.
Getting the possessions. But in that game, Birchall had 37 touches and Buddy also kicked 4. So he might get a 2, probably a 2 in that game.
Is there anybody's odds that, without John, he agree, but he had a lot of games, a lot of goals and possessions. But is there anybody you think is bad odds? Like I don't like Dangerfield, for example, at 30, being the 9th best odds.
No, I
but
don't
isn't
think
that
that. Do you know the big? This is the one that confuses me, right? Ryan Griffin is $51 for the Brownlow.
Yeah, longer.
Right? but he's $4 to finish in the top 5. So even though Ruffy's on $34 for the Brownlow, so shorter odds for the Brownlow, he's longer odds to finish in the top 5 compared to Griffin.
Let's just leave it at this.
Riddle me this.
Why is that?
Sorry, I wasn't even listening. I was paying attention to a different podcast over here.
Excellent.
What? You're asking for my bet.
Why? The question is, why is Roughhead at worse odds to finish top 5 than Griffin, despite the fact that Griffin is at worse odds for outright win?
To win the Brownlow.
Well, it's obvious, isn't it?
What? Griffin's at 51.
Because positions 2, 3, 4 and 5 obviously are different in the odds. So...
Alright, we don't have time in this podcast. Yeah. Let's wrap this up.
I need to get to the whiteboard.
We're going to have a quick bet on the Brownlow?
I don't think it's going to count towards the...
So Roughhead is likely to either win it or not do much.
I'm taking... if I was going to
Griffin's going to poll well, but not win it.
I'd put $10 on Roughhead to finish in the top 5 at $5. That'd be my bet.
Mine would be $10 on Pendlebury to win the whole thing. Guru?
Ablett,
$10?
Yep.
Outright? You want to go top 50?
No.
Top 20?
No. No.
Excellent. All right, listeners, this has been the longest podcast. First time we've argued on there, which is excellent. Back next week.
We need to argue more.
With the grand final edition, the big one. And according to the punters, it's going to be Hawthorn and Freo.
And Michael's going to be putting multis on the single game.